Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of our third video lesson, Choice as a Tool for Learning. My name is Vanusa Palacio, I'm an academic coordinator, and once again, it's a pleasure to have you all here. Well, in our first video lesson, I gave you an overview of the course, gave you some tips, and also mentions the journey we're going to embark in right here in our third video lesson. And in this part of our video lesson, I'll talk about the most important aspects mentioned in the second video lesson. So I'll give you a brief review, and then we'll talk about the concept of autonomy and how it impacts bilingual education. Well, in our second video lesson, Bianca talked about language for the task, and she talked about the importance of having students have the language and build the language they are going to need to express themselves and to be able to perform effectively in the task. So for that to happen, teachers need to gradually build and help the students build the language through gradual step-by-step moments in the lesson. And this is what we call scaffolding. So scaffolding is a method where you first give students strong base of knowledge and then slowly add more on top of it. So you, as a teacher, gradually help students build their language and up until a moment where students are not going to need you anymore and are going to be totally independent. So for that to happen, Bianca mentioned a few steps teachers can take. And here you have the model. The model actually is a 4-step program. Teachers can implement in their lessons to help their students become more autonomous speakers. So, for example, let's take this the sentence, can I borrow a pencil or can I borrow a pen? Let's suppose this is the language I want to help my students use and my students apply whenever necessary. So the first step, as you can see here, is the model. So first, I will introduce this language to the student by saying it, by using it. So students have the first exposure to it. So for example, I'm in the middle of a task and I ask João, can I borrow your pen? I ask Maria, can I borrow your pencil? So students are exposed to the model when I use it. And then I have students deal with it. I have students repeat it, or I have students replace it. So let me just give you an example. So I've just told you that I used, can I borrow a pen or a pencil? So I have students repeat it. Can I borrow a pen? Repeats everyone. Everybody repeats. Can I borrow a pencil? Repeats Mariazinha. Mariazinha repeats. And so this is repetition drill. Then I can have students use the same structure, but changing one or two items. So for example, can I borrow a pen? Pencil. Can I borrow a pencil? Eraser. Can I borrow an eraser? So students just need to repeat and change these some of the items. So this is called substitution drill. So by doing this, students are practicing with the language. Then we have the third step, which is display, where I have helped students have a visible understanding of the language. So I put the language on the board. I have students take notes of the language in their notebooks. So whenever students need to refer to it, they just go back to either the board or their notes. And last but not least, we have step 4, which is use, where I have students apply this in real task moments, right? So, for example, I say, well, whenever you need to ask for a specific object from a friend, just use can I borrow? And then you also check as teacher, you also check whether that is being done, and you monitor. If it's not being done, you encourage students to use the new language. Okay, this is basically what's the steps to scaffolding. All right. Well, why do we want our students to have the language for the task? Because we want our students to be more independent. We want our students to feel more uh, 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 at ease with whatever is happening in the classroom, and to feel part of the lesson, and to feel they are progressing with the language. And even if we do that and students still disrupt or show a lack of interest and withdraw, why are they doing it? Pause the video and answer the question. Okay, I have already taught my students the language. They already know how to use it. They have used it effectively. So why are my students still disrupting? What is another reason for that? Pause the video and answer this question, please. Okay, why are my students still disrupting? If you haven't reflected upon it, or if you have talked to your to a peer, or if you have talked to your assessor about it, please tell me, why do you still think your students disrupt? Well, one of the reasons why students still disrupt is that they don't have the opportunity of actually participating, deciding, and choosing in your lesson. So it's important to foster autonomy. And what is autonomy all about? Autonomy is about 3 aspects. It's about responsibility, offering the students the opportunity of being in charge of their own learning. It's about voice, helping your students express their wants, needs, preferences, suggestions in the lesson, throughout the course. And independence in learning, because students with the language we've taught in language for the task, and also actions we take in relation to performance in the lesson, we help our students become more independent, more responsible for their own learning process, and exchange more as a result. So I'd like you to think for a moment, how much freedom do your students have in your classes today? From 0 to 5, where would you place your lessons on the autonomy scale? 0 being the least autonomous, to 5, which is the most autonomous. Pause the video and answer this question. Okay, so think for a moment, how much freedom do your students have in your classes today? From 0 to 5, 0 being the least freedom, to 5 being the most freedom. Where would you place your lessons on the autonomy scale? Have you placed yourselves? Okay, great. So now let's take a look at this table here, that we can understand where you stand. Well, if you have placed yourself 0, it means you could be very authoritarian, very controlling, not very not guiding students to actually being more independent.